Vijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So Maharaj Parikshit sat on a chariot drawn by black horses. His flag was having the lion, symbol of a lion. In this way, he left the capital to conquer in all directions. So today we'll begin with text 12, chapter 16 of the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhadravam Ketumalam cha Bharatam Chottaran Karun Kim Purushadi Nivarshani Vijitya Jagrahe Balim. So Bhadrashva. He conquered various planets, all the parts of the earthly planets. He conquered various places in the earthly planet. Bhadrashva, Ketumalaha, then Bharata. Then he conquered Kuru, the kingdom of Kuru dynasty. Kim Purushaha Adini. So the country beyond the northern side of the Himalayas, Kim Purushaha. Then in this were different parts. Varshani Vijityaha Jagrahe Balim. By his superior strength, he conquered all the parts of the earthly planets. Okay, Sanjay Prabhu, read the purport. About the different places has been given here. Where is Bhadrashvaha, where is Ketumalaha, Bharatvarshaha? So just read those verses. Read the purport.
Bhadrashva. It is an island near Meru Parvat. There is a description of this verse in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva 7.14 to 18. The description was narrated by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Maharaj Yudhishthira.
It's a tract of land near Meru Parvat. And it extends from Gandha Madana Parvat to the salt sea water. We know Gandha Madana Parvat, from where Hanuman brought the Sanjeevani, Gandha Madana Parvat, from the top to the ground. Okay, next.
Maharaj Yudhishthira also conquered this island, and thus the province was included within the jurisdiction of his empire. Maharaj Parikshit was formally declared to be the emperor of all lands ruled by his grandfather, but still he had to establish his supremacy while he was out of his capital to accept tribute from such states. Ketumala. This earth planet is divided into 7 parts, and according to others, it is divided into 9 parts. This earth is called Jambudvipa and is divided into 9 Varshas. Bharatvarsha is one of the above mentioned 9 Varshas. Such Varshas are known as continents in the modern geographical context. Ketumala is described as one of the above Varshas. It is said that in this Varsha, women are the most beautiful. This Varsha was conquered by Arjuna also. A description of this part of the world is available in the Mahabharata, Sabha Parva 286.32 to 33. It is said that this
Dvipa, earthly planet, is divided into 7 Dvipa by 7 oceans. Dvipas means islands, 7 islands. And the center Dvipa is Jambu Dvipa. Now when we tell our identification, we say Jambudvipa, Bharatavarsha, Bharatakande, Jambudvipa, in which we have this Bharatavarsha. Now see, every Dvipa, now Jambudvipa is divided into 9 Varshas or 9 parts by 8 huge hills. So Bharatavarsha is one of the above mentioned 9 Varshas. Ketumala is also described as one of the above Varsha. So the whole earthly planet is divided into first 9 Dvipas, islands. And in that one of the island, middle island is known as Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa has 9 Varshas, in which Bharatavarsha is also one of the Varsha. Ketumala is also one of the Varsha. It is said it is a very beautiful Varsha where beautiful women live. Okay, but if a person from Ketumala has to introduce himself, he will also say Jambudvipa only.
It is said that this part of the world is situated on the western side of the Meru Parvat, and the inhabitants of this province used to live up to 10,000 of years. Vishnu Parva 6.16.31 to 32. Human beings living in this
6.31 only. 32 and all that it is.
Vishnu Parva 6.16.31-32.
Why in my book it is not there? Okay.
Human beings living in this part of the globe are of golden color, and the women resemble the angels of heaven. The inhabitants are free from all kinds of diseases and grief. Next is Bharatvarsha. This part of the world is also one of the 9 Varshas of the Jambudvip or earthly planet. Each planet is also sometimes called Dvipa because of its being an island in the fathomless outer space. Each planet is factually an island in the airy ocean of outer space. Jambudvipa is only one of such countless islands in this airy ocean of space. A description
from where you are reading actually? Why I am not having all these things? Where are you?
Even I am not having all this.
Where are you reading? I think it's the oldest one.
Yeah, possible.
Oh. Jakan Prabhu, can you read Bharatvarsha? Because in this it is not there, but I am having, I am not having. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam. Bharatvarsha. This part of the world is also one of the 9 Varshas of the Jambudvipa. A description of Bharatvarsha is given in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, chapter 9 and 10. In the center of Jambudvipa is a Ilavarta Varsha, and south of Ilavarta Varsha is a Hari Varsha. So the description of these verses is given in the Mahabharata, Sabha Parva 28.7 to 8 as follows.
So now see, we have 4 Varshas. We have described about the Jambudvipa. One is Ketumala, Bharatvarsha. Wait. Ketumala, Bharatvarsha, you have Ilavatvarsha, Hari Varsha. Till now 4 Varshas we have seen. There are 9 Varshas. Okay. Nagaramscha, read that verse.
Nagaramscha vanamcha chaiva nadischa vimalodhaka purushan deva kalpamscha narischa priya darshana adrashtha purvan shubhagan sadadarsha dhanajayah sadant chay subharani narish kapashnani narish chapa sharanam nibdha. So it is mentioned
apsaram cha apsarasam nibaha nagaramscha vanamschaiva nadischa vimalodakaha purushan deva kalpamscha narishcha priyadarshanaha adrishta purvan shubhagan sadadarsha dhananjayah sadanani cha shubhrani narischa apsarasam nibyaha apsara.
Apsara. It is mentioned here that the women in both of these verses are beautiful, and some of them are equal to the Apsaras or heavenly women.
That is in which Varsha?
Uttara,
Ilavrata Varsha and Hari Varsha. The women look like Apsaras. Uttara Kuru.
Uttara Kuru. According to Vedic geography, the northmost portion of the Jambudvipa is called Uttara Kuru Varsha. It is surrounded by the saltwater ocean from three sides and divided by the Shangvan mountain from the Hiranmaya Varsha.
Hiranmaya Varsha. So now again here two Varshas have been spoken. Uttara Kuru Varsha.
Purusha Varsha.
Wait. Uttara Kuru Varsha. My voice is not audible, Prabhu?
Yes. Audible.
When I am speaking, just wait now. Uttara Kuru Varsha and Hiranmaya Varsha. These are the another two Varshas. So we have in Jambudvipa, Ketumala, Bharata Varsha, the Ilavrata Varsha, Hari Varsha. Then you have Uttara Kuru Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha. 6 has been spoken. Okay. Now Kim Purusha Varsha.
Kim Purusha Varsha. It is stated to be situated north of the Great Himalaya mountain, which is 80,000 miles in length and height, and which covers 16,000 miles in width. So these parts of the world were also conquered by the Arjuna, Sabha 28.122. The Kim Purusha are descendants of the daughter of Daksha. When Maharaja Yudhishthira performed a horse sacrifice yajna, the inhabitants of these countries were also present to take part in the festival, and they paid tribes to the emperor. So this part of the world is called Kim Purusha Varsha, or sometimes the Himalayan provinces, Himavati. It is said that Shukadeva Goswami was born in this
Voice is dragging. Wait. Your voice is not coming proper.
Provinces,
Wait.
and that he came to
Jakkan Prabhu, I think your voice is not coming proper.
Ah.
I'll read. Okay, this part of the world is called Kim Purusha Varsha, or sometimes the Himalayan provinces, Himavati. It is said that Sukadeva Goswami was born in these Himalayan provinces, and that he came to Bharatvarsha after crossing the Himalayan countries. Kim Purusha Varsha is also known as the Himalayan parts. In other words, Maharaj Parikshit conquered all the world. He conquered all the continents, adjoining all the seas and oceans in all directions, namely the eastern, western, northern, and southern part of the world. So in this way, we have now 7 Varshas which has been described. Other 2 Varshas name has not been put, 7 Varshas we have seen. So now Parikshit Maharaj traveled in all the parts and conquered. Tatra tatro pashunvan sapurvesha mahatmanam pragivamalam cha yashah krishnamahatmaya suchakam atmanam cha paritratam ashwathamnostra tejasah sneham cha वृष्णिपार्थानां तेषां भक्तिं च केशवे तेभ्यः परमसन्तुष्ट प्रीत्युज्जृम्भितलोचनः महाधनानि वासांसि ददौ हारान् महात्मनः. So wherever the king visited, tatra means wherever he went. He continuously heard Shunvana means he was always hearing. About whom? He was hearing about his great forefathers. He belonged to Bharata Parivar, Bharat Vamsha. and they were all devotees of the Lord. And also he was hearing about Krishna, Yashaha Krishnahi. Yashaha Krishna Mahatmya Suchakam. So in this way, wherever he went, he heard about the devotees, that is his own great grandfathers, forefathers, and also about Krishna. And also what he heard, Atmanam, he heard about himself. Cha paritratmashvathamno stratejasaha Ashwathama was about to kill him by the powerful rays, Tejaha, Astra Tejaha. He threw Astra towards him. But then, out of affection, Sneham, that how Lord protected him. Atmanam cha paritratma. He was saved by Lord. He was saved from that Astra. And then, how there is a loving affection between Prushni, Parthanam. Parthanam is here, Pratha. Vrishni and Prutha. Partha Putra, Partha. Prutha is who? Kunti Maharani. Partha is who? Prutha's son, Partha. And there is a great affection between the descendants of Vrishni and Prutha, that is Kunti Maharani, due to later's great devotion to Lord Keshava. Now, Kunti Maharani is a great devotee of Krishna. That is why Vrishni, Parivar, and Prutha, they were all having very great affection. Because the center of affection of Vrishni is also Keshava. Center of affection for Prutha is also Keshava. So king was very pleased. Parama Santushtaha. He was feeling very much satisfied by hearing such glories. He opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Prityujrum Bhitalochana. He opened his eyes with great satisfaction. Mahadhanani Vasamsi Dadau Haran Mahatmanaha. And what he did out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them. When the king is happy, what he does, he starts giving his jewels, his money. Like generally, you express your happiness by giving some charity, isn't it? That is how in special occasions you like to go and donate in the temple. Like your birthdays, a child birthday or marriage day, you like to do donation at that time. Because it is out of affection and out of the love and out of that happiness a person gives an award. Here also, he is so happy that he is awarding everyone by valuable necklaces, clothing. Okay. Aruna Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna. The kings and the great personalities of the state are presented with welcome addresses. This is a system from time immemorial, and Maharaja Parikshit, since he was one of the well-known emperors of the world, was also present with addresses of welcome in all parts of the world as he visited those places. The subject matter of those welcome addresses was Krishna. Krishna means Krishna, and his eternal devotees, as the king means the king of his confidential associates. Krishna and his unalloyed devotees cannot be separated, and therefore glorifying the devotee means glorifying the Lord, and vice versa. Maharaja Parikshit would not have been glad to hear about the glories of his forefathers like Maharaja Yudhishthira and Arjuna had they not been connected with the acts of Lord Krishna. The Lord descends specifically to deliver his devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam. The devotees are glorified by the presence of the Lord because he cannot live for a moment without the presence of Lord and his different energies. The Lord is present for the devotee by his acts and glories, and therefore Maharaja Parikshit felt the presence of the Lord when he was glorified by his acts, especially when he was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother. The devotees of the Lord are never in danger, but in the material world, which is full of dangers at every step, the devotees are apparently placed into dangerous positions, and when they are saved by the Lord is glorified. Lord Krishna would not have been glorified as the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita Had his devotees like the Pandavas not been entangled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all such acts of the Lord were mentioned in the address of welcome. And Maharaja Parikshit, in full satisfaction, rewarded those who presented such addresses. The difference between the presentation of welcome address today and in those days is that formerly the welcome addresses were presented to a person like Maharaja Parikshit. The welcome addresses were full of facts and figures, and those who presented such addresses were sufficiently rewarded. Whereas in the present days, the welcome addresses are presented not always with factual statements, but to please the post holder, and often they are full of flattering lies. And rarely are those who present such welcome addresses rewarded by the poor receiver. Hare Krishna.
So welcome addresses nowadays are how? Just flattering messages. And those who are receiving it, they're also not properly qualified. But in those days, highly qualified person used to present the flattering, the welcome addresses. Sarathya parashada sevana sakya tautya virasana gamana stavana pana pranaman snigdeshu pandushu jagat pranatim cha vishnu bhaktim karoti nurapati chara charnarvinde. Yeah, we are in 1.16.16. Why you have put suddenly, Aruna? So, translation. Now, Saratyaha Parashada. The Lord accepted the position of Sarthi. Yes. He accepted the position of being a president in the Rajasuya Yakya. Somebody can think of him as a friend also, Sakhya. Dautya, he went as peace messenger. Virasana, he accepted a position of a watchman with a drawn sword at night. Anugamana, stavana, pranamana, snigdheshu, pandushu, jagat, pranatim. So he used to obey to whatever the sons of Pandu used to say. Because bhaktim karoti, they were performing the devotion to such an extent at the lotus feet of Lord. The Lord accepted any position for them. Sometimes he used to pay obeisances to them, just see, because he was youngest now. Obeying them like a servant, offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to Krishna. What a personality! The Supreme Lord can act as a peace messenger, can act as a driver, can act as a watchman. He's accepting all the position. He can also become a driver, he can become a president, he can become a messenger, he can become a night watchman. So who will not like such president? Ask whether our temple president is becoming a watchman. Is our temple president becoming, doing all these menial activities? We should ask. Or is the president of India or president of any country doing this activity? Nobody can do this. Only Krishna can do. Because he has no false ego. That is why he identifies himself as a servant of his devotees. And at any cost, he never forgets that identification. Though we are a servant of Krishna, but our ego comes in between. That is why we cannot accept any role. If we are having an authority, we cannot become anything. Ask a sannyasi to broom the road, to wash the utensils. What happens? That position comes in the way. But for Krishna, he is beyond all these things. Is it very difficult to even understand the quality of Krishna. In this material world also, a person who has a position will not do any menial activity. A person who is having some position in the spiritual world also, he will also not do any activity. But only Srila Prabhupada could do everything. Srila Prabhupada washed the utensils. Srila Prabhupada cooked. Srila Prabhupada taught how to wear the sari. Srila Prabhupada taught his male disciples how to wear the dhotis. It's only Prabhupada who could do everything. It's not so easy to become Prabhupada. To become Prabhupada, one has to understand, even to have such qualities, one should understand that he is always a servant of Krishna. Somebody was showing pride. Prabhupada said, give my 40 rupees back, take your ISKCON back. So that is Prabhupada. Prabhupada never tolerated any even small ego. Any ego comes, Prabhupada doesn't tolerate that. Just imagine Prabhupada doing all menial activities, everything. And generally, we would like to become only preachers. We don't want to do anything else. If somebody asks us to broom, we don't want to broom. We don't want to do anything. But Prabhupada used to train his disciples also, right from washing the washrooms to preaching, everything to be done. And that is actually the real qualification. For Krishna, take up any task. Take up the task of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, take up any task. Okay. Raksha Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Translate purport. Lord Krishna is everything to the unalloyed devotees, like the Pandavas. The Lord was for them the Supreme Lord, the spiritual conceive of. And thus the Lord also reciprocated the feelings of the Pandavas. Maharaj Parikshit, the Lord, could appreciate the Lord's transcendental reciprocation of the feelings of his devotees, and thus he himself also was overwhelmed with the dealings of the Lord. Simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation. The Lord's dealing with his devotees appear to be ordinary human dealings, but one who knows them in truth becomes at once eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas were so malleable to the will of the Lord that they could sacrifice any amount of energy for the service of the Lord. And by such unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in the shape of the desire. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in any shape they desire. So the Pandavas, they were always doing the activity to the will of Lord only. So they could sacrifice any amount of energy just to satisfy Krishna for the service of Lord. That is why they could secure Lord's mercy. Now, tasyaivam vartamanasya purvesham vrittimanvahan nati dure kilascharyam yadasi tannibodhame. So, tasya evam vartamanasya, you were so absorbed in the thought of Krishna. What would have happened? Let us imagine that. Now you may hear from me what happened while Maharaj Parikshit was passing his days hearing of the good occupation of his forefathers and being absorbed in thoughts of them. So we can even imagine what would have happened. Now here, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, now here what happened when Maharaj Parikshit was passing his days like this. It's not Sukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami you see. Sutta Goswami, Naimisharanya Rishis, they are all asking the questions. That is how this whole topic is. Till now, Parikshit Maharaj has not met Sukadeva Goswami. It is yet to come. So hear from me what happened while Parikshit Maharaj is passing his days hearing about his great grandfathers. Dharma padainika charan vichayam upalabhyatgam Pruchhati smashru vadanam vivatsam iva mataram. So dharma padaikena charan. Pada ekena charan. The dharma, the personality of religious principle, that is dharma. Now this dharma represents the bull, or bull represents the personality of religious principles. This bull was walking in only one leg, just on one leg it was wandering. Vichayam, overtaken by the shadow of grief. Vichayam upalabhyaha. Gam pruchhati, he met a cow. Now this bull was walking on one leg and it met a cow. And this cow was having tears, ashruvadanam, tears on the face, as if vivatsam, as if it has lost a vasuru, that means offspring, or vatsaha. In that way, this cow was crying. She had tears now. Beauty of her body was lost. Thus, the dharma questioned the Lord, the earth, as follows. So, dharma, the personification of religion, that is dharma, which is represented by bull, met cow. And the cow represents the earth. Dharma represents the bull. And the earth is represented by in the form of a cow. So when the cow is in grief, when the dharma is not followed. So bull is walking on one leg, seeing that cow is crying actually. Because the earth is representing the cow. And religious principles are represented by bull. So when there is a glani in the religious principles, yadai dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanusjamyam. The moment there is a glani, there is a decline in the religious principles, the Mother Earth cries. That's how she goes along with Brahma to plead to Lord Krishna to come. Okay. Ram Kirti Prabhu, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranam. The bull is the emblem of the moral principle and the cow is the representative of the earth. When the bull and the cow are in a joyful mood, it is to be understood that the people of the world are also in a joyful mood. The reason is that the bull helps production of grains in the agricultural field and the cow delivers milk, the miracle of aggregate food values. The human society therefore maintains these two important animals very carefully so that they can wander everywhere in cheerfulness. But at the present moment, in this age of Kali, both the bull and the cow are now being slaughtered and eaten up as foodstuff by a class of men who do not know the Brahminical culture. The bull and the cow can be protected for the good of all human society simply by the spreading of Brahminical culture as the topmost perfection of all cultural affairs. By advancement of such culture, the morale of society is properly maintained, and so peace and prosperity are also attained without extraneous effort. When Brahminical culture deteriorates, the cow and bull are mistreated, and the resultant actions are prominent by the following symptoms. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
So very important line has been written that if the Brahminical culture deteriorates, so Brahminical culture is tapasya, shaucham, arjavam, ahimsa. These are the Brahminical nature. If this culture deteriorates, then the cow and the bull are mistreated. And we can see that how the cows and the bulls are sent to the slaughterhouses. The cows are in the pathetic conditions. They eat anything in the streets. Hardly there are any goshalas. We see that we have big temples, we have big buildings. Yesterday, I had gone to that seminar. Here, our CM had come, MMRDA, Maha Mumbai Road Development. They were talking about 260 crores project, 1,000 crores project, big building projects. I was just thinking, there's no project for any Goshala. Nobody's bothered about it. It is, everybody is having big projects. Even our ISKCON also has big projects. But how many of them really are putting attention on the cows? There are some Goshalas, but there are cows who are not having any shelter also. They wander on the streets. So wherever decline of Brahminical culture is there, cows and the bulls are going to be mistreated. Shastras are the pramana. That is why it's very important to bring up Vedic culture. Vedic culture means give rise to a Brahmana or develop Brahminical culture. And Brahminical culture cannot happen without serving cows. Okay. Dharmavacha Kechit Bhadre Anamayam Atmanaste Vichhayasi Mlayita Shanmukhena Alakshye Bhavati Mantaradhim Dure Bandhum Shochasi Kanchanamba. Now, Kechit means whether inquiry is going on. Dharma Vacha, Dharma is inquiring. Hey, madam, Badre, madam, Anamayam, are you hale and hearty? Atmanahate Vichaya. Why are you covered with a shadow of grief? Malayata is actually darkening your face. Ishatamukhena Alakshaye Bhavatim. So it appears as if you have become black. Alakshaye Bhavatim Antaradim Dure. Are you? It appears as if you have become black, and are you suffering from some internal disease? Dure bandhum antaradhim. Antaradhim means disease. Are you suffering from some disease? And then shochasi kanchana amba. Are you thinking of somebody? Shochasi. Shochasi means, are you thinking of somebody who stays very far? Dure bandhum. Are you thinking of some friend who is staying far or some relative who is staying far? What has happened to you? Why you are not looking hale and hearty? You are looking as if you are diseased, and it appears as if you have become black. Okay. Nimra Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Purport: the people of the world in this age of Kali are always full of anxieties. Everyone is diseased with some kind of ailment. From the very faces of the people of this age, one can find out the index of the mind. Everyone feels the absence of his relative who is away from home. The particular symptom of the age of Kali is that no family is now blessed to live together. To earn a livelihood, the father lives at a place far away from the son, or the wife lives far away from the husband, and so on. There are sufferings from internal diseases, separation from those near and dear, and anxieties for maintaining the status quo. These are but some important factors which make the people of this age always unhappy. Hare Krishna.
The Prabhupada is writing this purport practically 60, 70 years before, and now we are seeing practically the same thing. The whole family is so divided. Father stays somewhere, mother stays somewhere, son stays somewhere, all are into just earning. And how many are eating? Just 2 or 3. But earning, so much of earning is happening. Why they are earning? No reason. So this is what is happening. Next. Pade Nyunam शोचसि मयिकपादम् आत्मानं वा वृषलैर्भोक्ष्यमास् आत्मा भोक्ष्यस्यामानम् आहो दूरादीन् हृतयज्ञभागान् प्रजा उतस्मिन् मघवति अवर्षति. Now the bull is, now the cow is saying now. Let us see. The bull is only talking. Yeah, bull is only talking. The bull says, I have lost my 3 legs. Now I am standing in just 1 leg. Acha, are you lamenting by seeing this? I am just standing in 3 legs. Or are you in great anxiety? Still the questions are going on. Why are you so much in anxiety? Are you in anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Varshalahi bhokshasamana. These meat eaters will exploit you. They will kill you. Are you crying for that? Today I heard in some religion they teach hate cow. Sell the cow to slaughterhouses. Just see. So are you crying for that reason? Or are you in a sorrow plight because demigods are now bereft of the share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Suradin, Hritayagyaha, they are devoid of the sacrificial offerings. Are you crying for this? Then, are you grieving for living entities because of their sufferings due to famine and drought? So, for what reason are you crying? Now, you look very dark. At the same time, it appears as if you're diseased. What must be the reason? Are you crying just because of seeing me that I have lost 3 legs and standing just in 1? Or are you crying that you're going to be exploited by these unlawful meat eaters? Then third, are you crying because demigods are now bereft of their shares? So are you crying because of the famines the people are suffering? So for what reason are you crying? Okay. Chaturvedi Prabhu, read.
With the progress of the age of Kali, 4 things particularly, namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and moral or religious principles will gradually diminish. Since dharma or the principles of religion would be lost in the proportion of 3 out of 4, the symbolic bull was standing on 1 leg only. When 3/4 of the population of the whole world become irreligious, the situation is converted into hell for the animals. In the age of Kali, godless civilization will create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defined. And thus, faithless societies of men will make the world uninhabitable for the slender section of people. There are gradation of human beings in terms of proportionate faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first-class faithful men are the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, then the Kshatriyas, then the Vaishya, and then the Sudras, then the Malechas, the Yavanas, and the last, the Chandals. The degradation of human instinct begins from the Malechas and the Chandals state of life in the last word in human degradation. All the above terms mentioned in the Vedic literature are never meant for any particular community or birth. They are different qualifications of human beings in general. There is no question of birthright or community. One can acquire the respective qualifications by one's own efforts, and thus the son of Vaishnava can become a Malecha, or the son of Chandala can become more than Brahmana. All in terms of their association and intimate relation with the Supreme Lord. How is the voice, Mataji? How can
Okay, wait. Your voice is again not coming properly. Vaishnava, and thus the son of a Vaishnava can become a Mlecha. So there's no question of birthright or community. One can acquire the respective qualification by his own efforts. Not just because he's born as a Brahmana, he has to be Brahmana, he can become a Mlecha also. So in this way, this Chandala state of life is the last word in human degradation that has been given. The degradation begins from Mlechas and ends in Chandalas. If you see very nicely, it has been given. The dog eaters, the pig eaters, or Chandalas. Anyhow. Okay, from here, Aruna Mataji, read, continue.
Hare Krishna. The meat eaters are generally called mlechas, but all meat eaters are not mlechas. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural injunctions are not mlechas, but those who accept meat without restriction are called mlechas. Beef is forbidden in scriptures, and thus bulls and cows are offered special protection by followers of Vedas. But in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of bull and the cow as they like.
Why you're running suddenly? Keep us the same pace, na? Why you have to just super fast yourself? Read slowly.
But in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and the cows as they like, and thus they will invite sufferings of various types.
Okay. So what they'll do? They will cut the bulls, they'll cut the cows, they'll exploit, and in this way they will only suffer. They will just suffer. Okay, Sanjay Prabhu, read from here.
The materialist.
The people of this age.
The people of this age will not perform any sacrifice. The Mlecha population will care very little for performances of sacrifices, although performance of sacrifice is essential for persons who are materially engaged in sense enjoyment. In Bhagavad Gita, performance of sacrifices is strongly recommended. The living beings are created by the creator Brahma, and just to maintain the created living being progressively towards the path back to Godhead, the system of performing sacrifice is also created by him. The system is that living beings live on the produce of grains and vegetables, and by eating such foodstuff, they get vital power of the body in the shape of blood and semina. And from blood and semina, one living being is able to create other living beings. But the production of grains, grass, etc. becomes possible by rain, and this rain is made to shower properly by performance of recommended sacrifices. Such sacrifices are directed by the rites of the Vedas, namely Sam, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. In the Manusmriti, it is recommended that by offerings of sacrifice on the altar of the fire, the sun god is pleased. When the sun god is pleased, he properly collects water from the sea, and thus sufficient clouds collect on the horizon and rains fall. After sufficient rains fall, there is sufficient production of the grains for men and all animals, and thus there is energy in the living beings for progressive activity. The Mlechas, however, make plans to install slaughterhouses for killing bulls and cows along with other animals, thinking that they will prosper by increasing the number of factories and live on animal food without caring for performance of sacrifices and production of grains. But they must know that even for the animals, they must produce grass and vegetables, otherwise the animals cannot live. And to produce grass for the animals, they require sufficient rains. Therefore, they have to depend ultimately on the mercy of the demigods like the sun god, Indra, and Chandra. And such demigods must be satisfied by performance of sacrifices.
Yes. So demigods are satisfied by the performance of sacrifices. Even in the 3rd chapter, we have seen Parasparam Bhavam. Lord says, I have made this earthly planet, and while making this earthly planet, I have given forth men and demigods, and they work together in perfect coordination. Before taking anything for self-enjoyment, one should first offer to demigods. If we take it without offering to demigods, we are actually thieves. That is what Krishna says in the beginning. And then slowly Krishna introduces bhakti. Yakya tat karmano netra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Okay, read from here.
This material world is a sort of prison house, as we have several times mentioned. The demigods are the servants of the Lord who see to the proper upkeep of the prison house. These demigods want to see that rebel living beings who want to survive faithlessly are gradually turned towards the supreme power of the Lord. Therefore, the system of offering sacrifice is recommended in the scriptures. The materialistic men want to work hard and enjoy fruitive results for sense enjoyment. Thus, they are committing many types of sins at every step of life. Those, however, who are consciously engaged in the devotional service of the Lord are transcendental to all varieties of sin and virtue. Their activities are free from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. For the devotees, there is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices, because the very life of the devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. But persons who are engaged in fruitive activities for sense enjoyment must perform the prescribed sacrifices, because that is the only means to get free from the reaction of all sins committed by fruitive workers. Sacrifice is the means for counteracting such accumulated sins. The demigods are pleased when such sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when the prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. Lord Chaitanya, however, has recommended only one yagna or sacrifice, called the Sankirtan Yagna, the chanting of Hare Krishna, in which everyone can take part. Thus, both devotees and fruitive workers can derive equal benefit from the performance of Sankirtan Yagna. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So everybody is satisfied and everybody is benefited also by Sankirtan Yagya. Next. Arakshamanaha sthira striyaha urvi balan shauchasi yatho purushadam ivartan vacham sevim brahmakule kukarmani abrahmanye rajakule kulagrayan. So arakshamanaha, unprotected. So now different reasons have been asked by Gun. He's asking, are you unhappy because the women are not protected, children are not protected? Because Arjuna also had the same doubt. That what will happen if we fight? Then all the women will become corrupted. Varna Sankara will be born. So are you unhappy? Are you feeling the type of compunction for the unhappy children, unhappy women? And they are forlorn by unscrupulous persons. Then are you unhappy because goddess of learning, Devim, that is Saraswati, Brahma Kule Kukar Mani, and the goddess of learning is handled by Brahmanas. And what are they doing? They are handling, they are doing the acts, or they are handling the things against the principles of religion. And then Brahmane, so people who are Aja Kule, Kula Agryan. So they have taken shelter. The Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture. So they have degraded themselves by taking shelter of those who are not respecting Brahminical culture. Are you unhappy for that? Are you unhappy that women are not taken care? The children are not taken care? Are you unhappy that the goddess of learning is being handled by people who are against the principles of religion. So you see exactly what is going to happen has been spoken 5,000 years before. And this is what is happening. No? People who are Brahmanas, they are working under somebody like Shudra. And they call themselves Brahmana. Even though being a Brahmana, he is not having the desire to serve. So let us see the purport. Yes, Aruna Mataji, read the purport.
Hare Krishna. In the age of Kali, the women and children, along with brahmanas and cows, will be grossly neglected and left unprotected. In this age, illicit connection with women will render many women and children uncared for. Circumstantially, the woman will try to become independent of the protection of men, and marriage will be performed as a matter of formal agreement between man and woman.
That's
In
only
most-
going on now.
in most cases, the children will not be taken care of properly. The Brahmanas are traditionally intelligent men, and thus they will be able to pick up modern education to the topmost rank. But as far as moral and religious principles are concerned, they shall be the most fallen. Education and bad characters go ill together, but such things will run parallel. The administrative heads as a class will condemn the tenets of Vedic wisdom and will prefer to conduct so-called secular state, and the so-called educated Brahmanas will be purchased by such unscrupulous administrators. Even a philosopher and writer of many books on religious principles may also accept an exalted post in a government which denies all the moral codes of the Shastras. The Brahmanas are especially restricted from accepting such service. But in this age, they will not only accept service, but they will do so even if it is of the meanest quality. These are some of the symptoms of the Kali age, which are harmful to the general welfare of human society.
So what is the use of being a Brahmana? That is working under someone and is doing all unscrupulous activity. Brahmana means he has to study the scriptures. He has to spread the scriptures. That is the work of the Brahmana. Now the so-called Brahmanas, they are addicted to so many habits also. The women are not taken care. There is a free mixing which is going on. The children are uncared. So all these things have been given. 22nd. Kim Shatraha Bandhun Kalinopasrishtan Rashtrani Vaitair Avaropitani Tastato Vashanapana Vasaha Nana Vyabhayonmukha Jivalokam. So the so-called administrators, what they are doing, unworthy administrators, Kshatriya Bandhun, the so-called administrators, they are actually bewildered by the age of Kali. By the age of Kali, they are bewildered. Upasrushta means they are completely bewildered. And then they have put all the state affairs into disorder that has been given. Rashtrani, Avaropani. So what they have done, Avaropani means what? They have put everything in disorder. There's only confusion everywhere. Itaha, Tataha, here and there, they have only created a confusion. Because of all this disorder, they have created a confusion. And they eat anywhere and everywhere. There's no regulatory principle. Actually, Brahmana should not eat from the hands of Kshatriya. They should not eat from the hands of low-born. That is a rule of a Brahmana. There are few Brahmanas who maintain these principles. Brahmanas who come to our puja, they don't eat with anyone's hand, even to the hands of our cook. On 26th, they had come for temple opening. They had come 6 o'clock itself. And they told that anyhow, we just take some glass of milk. No, you should have. They eat only from the hands of those who are born Brahmanas. So Mataji, you cook. Okay. So then they are so strict in their principles. They will not eat. Howsoever you present a very good item to them. It's good. Good to maintain such things. Not to eat from anyone's hand. So that day I had to wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. There were 5, 6 Brahmanas. So naturally for everybody, 10 people to make. So they are very strict. There are, but like this Brahmanas, how many are there? We can just count in hands now. In those times, Brahmanas were very strict about their eating habits. What goes inside, that comes outside. So Brahmanas have to speak Vedas. They have to learn scriptures. We are not so eager to learn the verses, isn't it? Because Prabhupada has given us all in English. So it became very easy. But for a Vedic Brahmana, he has to study the scriptures, he has to study Sanskrit. That is why they are very strict in their eating habits. Okay. Vrindavan Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna. The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc. And they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this? Purport. There are some necessities of life on a par with those of the lower animals, and they are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. These bodily demands are for both the human beings and the animals. But the human being has to fulfill such desires, not like animals, but like a human being. A dog can mate with a bitch before the public eyes without hesitation. But if a human being does so, the act will be considered a public nuisance, and the person will be criminally prosecuted. Therefore, for the human being, there are some rules and regulations, even for fulfilling common demands. The human society avoids such rules and regulations when it is bewildered by the influence of the age of Kali. In this age, people are indulging in such necessities of life without following the rules and regulations. And this deterioration of social and moral values is certainly lamentable because of the harmful effects of such beastly behavior. In this age, the fathers and the guardians are not happy with the behavior of their wards. They should know that so many innocent children are victims of bad association, avoided by the influence of this age of Kali. We know from Srimad Bhagavatam that Ajamil, an innocent son of a Brahmin, was walking down a road and saw a Shudra pair sexually embracing. This attracted the boy, and later on the boy became a victim of all debaucheries. From a pure Brahmin, he fell down to the position of a wretched urchin, and it was all due to bad association. There was but one victim like Ajamil in those days. But in this age of Kali, the poor innocent students are daily victims of cinemas which attract men only for sex indulgence. The so-called administrators are all untrained in the affairs of a Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas are meant for administration, as the Brahmanas are meant for knowledge and guidance. The word Kshatrabandhu refers to the so-called administrators or persons promoted to the post of the administrator without proper training by culture and tradition. Nowadays, they are promoted to such exalted posts by the votes of the people who are themselves fallen in the rules and regulations of life. How can such people select a proper man when they are themselves fallen in the standard of life? Therefore, by the influence of the age of Kali, everywhere, politically, socially, or religiously, everything is topsy-turvy. And therefore, for the same man, it is all regrettable. Hare Krishna Mataji.
You ask parents nowadays, parents, when is your child going to get married? When is your daughter going to get married? अभी तक लड़का नहीं देखा है. Who? The girl has not seen a boy. Not that the father has not seen the boy. So the parents are also accepting. They also want that the children only should select their partner. They also don't want to select anyone. And on top of that, they will say our children are not listening to us. Then who is the culprit? You are the culprit. You as a mother, you as a father have not trained your children. So if you say nowadays children are not listening, no, that is because the parents don't want them to listen. Simple. The parents have given so much of leniency in the beginning that afterwards the children don't want to listen. And now nothing can be done. When something could have been done when they were child, that time, the parents were busy accumulating money, going to offices, neglecting the poor children. Now when the children become big, they also start neglecting the parents. So what is so new in it? Tit for tat. You did when we were helpless. We are doing when you are helpless. Isn't it? If the mother would have put so much of efforts behind the child, why the child will leave and go? So it is a simple formula. If we don't take care of our kids, in future, understand, kids will also never see at you. Will never look at you also. So 23rd verse. Yadvambati bhuri bharata कृतावतारस्य हरे धरित्री अंतर्हि तस्य स्मरतो विसृष्टा कर्माणि निर्वाण विलंबिरानि. O Mother Earth, the Supreme Lord has incarnated himself as Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. Now here, bull is telling to cow. Actually, Mother Earth goes like a cow, takes the form of a cow, goes and worships the Lord. We have this in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where how Mother Earth goes and worships along with all the Devatas headed by Brahma. There, Lord ensures that he is going to appear in his full form. So he says, Lord Krishna has appeared to unload your heavy burden. And how are his activities? His activities are completely transcendental. And in this way, his activities are transcendental and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry for their absence. So you knew that Lord has appeared to unload your burden, and he is completely transcendental. Now everybody are missing him because he has left to his abode. So are you thinking about him and feeling sorry in his absence? Still the questions are going on by bull. What is the reason? Why are you unhappy? Okay, Vimla Mataji, read.
Krishna. The activities of the Lord include liberation, but they are more relishable than the pleasure derived from nirvana or liberation. According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word used here is nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. To attain nirvana, liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya, austerity, but the Lord is so merciful that he incarnates to diminish the burden of the earth. Simply by remembering such activities, one can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him, externally engaged in his blissful loving service. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So simply by remembering his activities, what will happen? One can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana. Generally, what is the meaning of nirvana? People have misinterpreted the word nirvana. If you see 2nd chapter, 72nd verse, last verse, Yesham Rami Siti Partha. There, nirvana word comes. And when the nirvana word comes, Srila Prabhupada gives an elaborate explanation. How people have understood nirvana in the wrong way. Nirvana means mukti. But what type of mukti? Mukti really means understanding our swarupa, that is mukti. So in this way, if a person, just by remembering Krishna, he can defy this name Nirvana. Okay. And he can reach the transcendental abode of Lord just to associate with him and eternally engage in his blissful loving service. 24th verse of this section. Idam mama chakshva tavadimulam vasundhare yena vikarshitamsi kalena vate balinam baliyasa surarchitam kim hitamnya saubhavam idam nama achakshvaha. Oh mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Inform me. Inform me. Achakshva means inform me. What is the root cause of your tribulation? Adhimulam, tava adhimulam. Vasundhare. Why Vasundhare? Earth is also called as Vasundhara. Vasundhara means one who is a reservoir of all riches. Yena vikarshita asi. You have become so weak. Kalena vate balinam baliyasa. Now, as the time is progressing, by the influence of time, what is happening? So much of power. I think that the powerful influence of time is the time itself is the power. So as the time is passing, there is more influence of the power. Sura aritam. So in this way, here it is very clearly said, I think that the powerful influence of time which conquers the most powerful might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods. People worship cows. It said 33 crore Devi Devtas, they reside in the cows. But what happened? They have taken away your fortune. And who has taken that fortune? One who is influenced by this time. They have taken away the fortune that has been given. And these cows are worshipped by even demigods. Okay. And also, who has beaten you so much? I want to know that. I want to know the root cause of your suffering. Okay, Vimla, read. You mute your phone. Unmute your phone. Unmute.
Yes, Hare Krishna. By the grace of the Lord, each and every planet is created fully equipped. So not only in this earth, fully equipped with all the riches for the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends on this earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched with all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heavens worship it with all affection. But by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by his sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay. By the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by his own sweet will. No one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of Lord. So various reasons have been asked by the bull to the cow. And if you see in these questions, the future problem has been given. Is all the prediction. that earth will be burdened by unscrupulous people who will hate cow, who will kill the cow. And in this way, because of all the unscrupulous people not following the scriptures, there will be rise in the Varna Sankara, unwanted population. So here we are stopping. Next 12 verses in the next class. It may be either Thursday or Saturday morning. If I'm not able to take on Saturday, Thursday, I'll take on Saturday morning. Okay, any questions? And Saturday timing will be 8 o'clock. If I'm unable to take on Thursday, I'll take on Saturday. But somehow we have to complete this portion. Any questions?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. May I?
Yeah.
Mataji, in 20th verse, it was being said that by performing Harinam Sankirtan or Sankirtan Yagya, one can counteract the sins, accumulated sins. But here we see like Kripalu Maharaj. Like I've heard few of his lectures, they are even his followers and disciples, they are so well versed in the scriptures and they follow Mahaprabhu only, but yet they are not into chanting. They talk about Rupa Dhyan and such things. So how do we understand? And they support it so well also by scriptures, by quoting scriptures.
Are they coming from some sampradaya?
Mataji?
Are they following some sampradaya?
I don't think so.
That's the answer.
No, I'm not facing problem. Like, but we see so many unfortunate souls, caught. They are so sincere, they are so spiritual, but they are following them and they are saying they are also following Mahaprabhu only. Na? You are followers of Mahaprabhu.
In
He is also...
the followers of Mahaprabhu also, if you see in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, very clearly it has been said, there are many unscrupulous branches which has come. They call themselves Nagaris. They call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the enjoyer. They have completely not followed the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there were many such branches of Nityananda which has come, which were unscrupulous. Their understanding about Chaitanya is an enjoyer, but Chaitanya's mood is not. Chaitanya's mood is of a devotee. So to know
how
such...
can one... Sorry, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah,
I was feeling like they are so well versed with scriptures. They quote so nicely. They remember so nicely.
Doesn't matter. Even if you have by hearted all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, if you are not following a sampradaya vinate nishvala mantraha, what is the use? We cannot understand the literatures properly. It's not just studying the scriptures, it's the revelation of the scriptures by one's acharyas, one's acharya. We have to serve our spiritual master. There are so many who know the scriptures, left, right, center, they know everything. But it is not just by it's not just by knowing the scriptures. Scriptures are revealed. They are revealed. Tasyaite katitayartam prakashante mahatmanah. Krishna says. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha guru. Tasyaite katitayartam prakashante mahatmanah. It's a guru who reveals the scriptures.
Very true. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Vimla Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I would like to know the difference between Chandas, Yavanas, Mlechas. Is there any?
Now, like you have in Shudras also, categories like that. Yavanas, they are generally Muslims. Chandalas, more degraded. Like that. In the lowest community also, degradation. Some eat meat of cow, some eat the meat of pig. Their eating habits, their way of living, this natures. Chandalas are the lowest. Tribal people, they all come in that. Adivasis. In Adivasis, if you see, one woman is married to at least 10 men. So that is what is Adivasi. We are in the Adivasi law. Every woman is having two husbands, 3 husbands. So it is natural for them. And robbing is like that part of life it is. And talking lies very sahaja. You don't expect them. You don't expect them to be very wonderful. It happens. Only Krishna conscious activity will purify them. We give them everyday chas from our Goshala. That is why now they are seeing Hare Krishna and all. Initially they used to come with a sword. If I speak in English and all, they will say, we'll cut your throat. And I keep quiet. They used to think that we are coming as some Christians to convert people. Once they came
But
also.
Mataji, then what about the state? Oh, Mataji, then they are being given reservation in every department.
Administration, na? Present administration, na? Brahmanas will be kept behind, Shudras will come ahead. Brahmanas will become Kalinganwala. What? Kalinganwala will become administrator. Poor administration. So if you see AC category, BC category, all Adivasi categories. What's happening?
When we read all this, at least I get filled with so much of pessimism that it's all getting inundated, like so much. The Kali is so much steeped in right in the beginning of Kali, though this is considered golden age. It is 10,000 years, and in these 10,000 years, only 50% is over, and still we can see so many nonsensical things happening around. Then what is the hope in future, Mataji? It's so unfortunate to be born in this age.
Hope is that these Prabhupada books are there. After that, it is only hopeless condition. Till 10,000 years, we have Prabhupada books to keep us alive and to develop Brahminical culture. So Brahminical culture is not dependent on your birth. A Brahmin can also behave like a Chandala. A Chandala can behave like a Brahmana. A Mlecha can become a Brahmana. So when we are speaking Brahmana, we should not have a very conservative thought about only a Brahmana who is born as a Brahmana, in a Brahminical, by birth you can say. He should be a Brahmana by nature. So what is the work of ISKCON? To produce Brahmanas. And Prabhupada went and met in the West. Whom he met? He did not meet some Brahmanas there. He met Mlechas there. But he made them Brahmanas, more than Brahmanas. The highest rank of Brahmanas, Vaishnavas. So that is the work of preaching movement. Preaching movement is not restricting its activity to somebody by birth. It is for everyone. Krishna consciousness is a birthright of each and every soul. And it's not just started by Prabhupada, started by Sripad Ramanujacharya. Those times only Maharaj Ramanujacharya used to accept people from low-born, initiate them, give them Krishna consciousness. Okay. Any other doubt?
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Stop here.
Thanks,
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.